If you own land zoned for housing and you wonder what it might be worth, this video is for you. First, I'm going to walk you through how developers estimate land value using what's called the residual land value model. Then I'll show you the biggest factors that impact what land's worth, like zoning, development costs, and site constraints. And finally, we'll look at how you can estimate your land's value using recent comparable land sales. By the end, you'll understand how developers think, what drives land value, and what you can realistically do to get a ballpark estimate of what your land is worth. Hey, I'm Evan with Metro Land Pro. I help landowners sell smarter and navigate what can be a confusing and frustrating process. Whether you're in Oregon or another state, whether you're ready to sell or just doing your homework, I'd love to help. If your land is in Oregon, I can personally list and sell it for you. For landowners in other states, I still offer guidance, connect you with the right professionals, and in some cases, reach out to local developers on your behalf. In this video, we're focusing specifically on residential zoned land. When a developer looks at your land, they start with the end product, the homes they expect to build and sell, and how many they can fit on the property. Based on the projected sale prices of those homes, they work backwards to figure out how much they can afford to pay for the land. They subtract the cost to build the homes, including labor, materials, and permits. Then they subtract the cost to develop the land into finished lots, like roads, utilities, and grading. They also subtract the profit they want to make, typically around 20% of the total project cost. What's left over after those expenses is the residual land value, and that's the maximum price a developer can typically pay for the land. It's the foundation of most developer offers. Here's a simple example. Let's say a developer thinks they can build 5 homes on your property. By looking at nearby new construction sales, they estimate each home could sell for around $500,000 or a total of $2.5 million in projected revenue. They calculate the cost to build the homes at around $240,000 each or $1.2 million in total. Then they factor in another $250,000 in development costs, covering roads, utilities, permits, and site work. That brings the total cost to $1.45 million. They also factor in the amount of profit they want to make, around 20% of the total project cost. In this case, that's about $400,000. After all that, they're left with roughly $650,000, and that's the most they can afford to pay for the land. Think of it like remodeling a house. If you know what the finished home will sell for, you subtract remodel costs and profit to figure out what's left to pay for the home. One thing to keep in mind, that $650,000 figure we just walked through is only a starting point. Developers use this model to guide their offers, but even they don't know the full picture up front. Developers don't know the actual value until the property is under contract and they've gone through the feasibility period, when they complete the formal land use or site plan review process. It's not until the city has issued specific requirements like road upgrades, utility extensions, or off-site improvements, and those have been incorporated into an approved plan that developers truly know what's required. These factors can significantly affect what's feasible and how much the land is actually worth. Until that process plays out, even a developer's offer is based on assumptions. The first thing that developers look at is zoning, because how many homes they can build drives almost everything else, including what they're willing to pay. Zoning determines how many homes can legally be built on a piece of land, and that's one of the biggest drivers of land value. A lot of landowners assume land is worth a flat number per acre, but that's not how developers think. They're not asking, how many acres is this? They're asking, how many homes can I actually build? Developers may offer a price per acre, but that number is based on how many units they think they can build, even if they don't always spell that out. It's not just about what zoning allows, it's about what's feasible. Even if zoning permits a certain number of units, site constraints can reduce that number, and fewer homes means a lower offer. Generally speaking, a 2-acre parcel that allows for 6 homes is worth more than a 5-acre parcel that only allows for 2 homes. It's not about size, it's because more homes mean more profit, which means they can pay more for the land. Keep in mind, the number of homes allowed per acre is only a part of the story. Things like wetlands, slopes, access requirements, or environmental overlays can all reduce how many units are actually feasible, even if zoning technically allows for more. One thing many landowners don't realize is this: the more it costs to fix or prepare your land, the less it's worth. Aside from zoning and density, which are huge drivers of value, another key factor are the improvements needed to get the site build ready. These costs can chip away at a property's value because the more a developer has to spend on things like site prep or infrastructure, the less they can afford to pay for the land. For example, building on a steep slope often requires additional engineering and construction work and is more complex and expensive than building on flat land, which increases the future cost to build each home. Earthwork, like grading, excavation, and moving dirt, is often one of the most expensive parts of residential construction. If utilities like sewer or electricity aren't readily available, developers will need to extend or install them, which can be a major expense. If the property doesn't have physical access, building a road or an entry point adds to the cost. And environmental issues like wetlands, flood zones, or protected areas can lead to expensive requirements or fixes that must be addressed before development can move forward. If a builder has to spend $50,000 to fix a slope or bring in utilities or build an access road, that's $50,000 they can't give you for the land. And sometimes those improvements, especially utility connections or road upgrades, are so expensive that the project simply doesn't pencil out. So it's not just about reducing value. Sometimes the site prep costs are so high that nothing ever gets built. That's why two pieces of land in the same neighborhood can have very different values. One might be flat and ready to go, while the other needs $100,000 in prep work. That $100,000 gets factored in and almost always comes off the top of what a buyer is willing to pay. By now you've seen how developers work backwards, from projected home sales, subtracting costs and profit, to arrive at what they can pay for the land. But without knowing actual construction costs, which not only vary from site to site, but are also hard to pin down unless you're a builder, it's difficult to reverse engineer that number with any accuracy. So how do you estimate your land's value if you're not a developer? The best shortcut is to look at recent nearby raw land sales that match your property in zoning, size, topography, and general buildability. Once you find a few good comps, take their sale prices and convert them to price per square foot or price per acre, then compare that to your property. It gives you a much more realistic ballpark than trying to reverse engineer developer math without knowing all the costs. To find good comps, a local title company can often help, or feel free to reach out to me. I can either help pull them myself or connect you with a land-savvy agent in your area. Most traditional agents focus on houses, so it's important to work with someone who understands land. But comps are just a part of the picture. To get a clear understanding of your land's true potential and any roadblocks that could affect value, here are a few smart steps that you can take. Check your property's zoning on your city or county zoning map to estimate how many homes might be allowed. Most residential zones specify units per acre, so multiplying that by your lot size gives you a rough idea of what's possible. Explore GIS maps. Offered by most cities and counties, they often reveal topography, utility connections, flood zones, wetlands, and other features that may affect development. Call your local planning department to ask about known constraints or previous development attempts on or near your land. Even a short conversation can provide valuable insight. If you want to dig deeper, schedule a pre-application meeting with your city or county. These meetings give a general overview of the development process and help identify potential red flags, like zoning constraints, access issues, or required studies. They're a helpful first step, but still very preliminary. At this point, you likely haven't completed detailed studies like wetland assessments, geotechnical reports, or utility research, so many key factors about your land may still be unknown. If you're in Oregon and considering selling your land, I'd be honored to list and sell your property personally. As a licensed real estate broker specializing in land sales, I focus on ensuring your property is marketed effectively and attracts the right buyers. For those outside of Oregon, I can still assist. Over the years, I've built a network of experienced land-focused agents across the country. I stay involved throughout the process to help ensure strong marketing, clear communication, and real results so your land gets the attention it deserves. There's no additional cost to you. To get started, visit metrolandpro.com/start and complete the brief form. I'll review your property details and follow up with next steps based on your goals and location. Thank you for watching. I hope this gave you a clear picture of how builders estimate the value of residential land, what factors impact that value, and how you can start estimating yourself by pulling comps and doing basic due diligence. If you found it helpful, make sure to subscribe and stay tuned. I'll be sharing more videos that answer common questions landowners have to help you better understand your property's potential. My goal is to help you make smart, informed decisions about your land, whether you're selling now or you're just doing your homework.